Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout their business career and share them with us as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn, have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn, and that will be in the show notes below as well. But on today's show, our special guest is Gayle Gruenberg. She is the owner of Let's Get Organized, providing professional organization, specializing in working with clients affected with chronic disorganization, which I think we all deal with from time to time. So, welcome to the show, Gayle. And I want to start off with asking a question I always love starting off with, and it is this: if you had a time machine and you were able to go back and talk to yourself when you started your very first business, what's the number one piece of advice that you'd give yourself?
Relax and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, being an entrepreneur, as we all know, is something like a roller coaster. So if we know that ahead of time, then it's easier to just like get through the valleys and enjoy the peaks.
Yeah. Yeah. So relax and enjoy the ride. Is there a particular thing that in your business career that helped you kind of realize that?
That we need to relax. Just experience. This is my 22nd year in business. And I think that maturing in a business and maturing as a person and a business owner gives us that perspective of like, hey, I've got this. I've done hard things. I can do hard things. We can get through anything. And it also does help to have a really solid support team, not necessarily just in the business, but to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs who are also taking that journey.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a really important fact right there that you just said as well. Surround yourself with other business owners on that journey. I'd love for you to speak a little bit more on that. Like, what if, I think in theory, we kind of understand that. It's like, yeah, okay, surround yourself with people. But what impact has that made in your business?
Ah, gosh. Well, I feel very fortunate to, over the years, have been associated with cohorts, different cohorts of people in different places in my business. Um, and just normalizing for one another what the experience of being an entrepreneur is, playing off each other, masterminding together, referring business, helping each other through you know, these decisions that we have to make, is it a strategic decision? Am I just going off half-cocked? Um, and as a woman business owner, it often helps to have other women business owners because we have a similar perspective, but it also helps to have men because men have a different perspective. So having that uh, community of what's a better word? Well, community for lack of a better
Yeah,
term, just along the way and various communities at each stage of development.
yeah, yeah. You used a term that I loved, and you said being around people to help you normalize what's going on in business. And I think that is a really key thing because uh, we business isn't normal. Once you really get into it, there's a lot of stuff that you deal with, and you kind of think, is this just me? Am I the only one that ever goes through this? Is there something wrong with me? And when you get around those people, it begins to normalize and go, oh, okay, this is a normal thing to go through. Well, as you've gone through the different challenges that we all face, we all have different challenges and stuff with business. I'd love to hear, like, what is a biggest challenge that you've gone through in your business over these last 22 years? And what's the biggest lessons you've learned from that?
I will default to saying that pipeline is always a challenge. As a professional organizer, I think we are still out there educating the public as to what we do.
Mhm.
Even 22 years later, people are saying, oh, you're a political organizer. Oh, you plan parties or you do this. And it's like, no, not exactly. And it's also not just closets. Someone who might know a professional organizer, oh yeah, I know exactly what you do, yada yada. And like, no, you don't.
Mm,
Because I can speak for myself and others like me who specialize in serving the chronically disorganized clientele
yeah.
that it's not just about the stuff. It's never about the stuff. So we're still out there educating people and letting people know about exactly how we can help and benefit. I like residential individual clients, but there are people out there who specialize in businesses as well in the chronic disorganization world.
Yeah.
So it's still like letting people know who we are, how to refer to us, and just knowing like, okay, I might have a quiet week now, but next week is going to be gangbusters.
Yeah, yeah. So with that, have you learned anything to help generate more of that understanding, the lead flow? Because I think there's a lot of people, no matter what business they're in, it's how do you differentiate yourself? Because whether you're an accountant, some people might just lump you into, oh, okay, you're an accountant, or, there's a lot of people that just get lumped in with that. Is there a way that you've learned how to set yourself apart from your competition?
Um, okay, so I would say in organizing, often we might be collaborative competitors because I see a demarcation between organizers who do not specialize in chronic disorganization and those of us who do. In
Mm,
the CD world, we work with people who have brain-based challenges like ADHD, OCD, depression, anxiety, the whole alphabet soup of mental health.
mm,
Whereas organizers who don't necessarily play in that sandbox have a different skill set. We have this and they have that. Um,
okay.
but my most salient lesson of just dealing with not maybe having pipeline a particular week or whatever is just get out there, just make that next phone call. Yes, it's a bit about sales and sometimes it is a numbers game, but if I call 100 people, one will say yes. And
Yeah.
knowing who my pipeline partners are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's amazing. And I love that you've said that because a lot of times people will say, oh, this strategy or that strategy. But really, what you're saying there is you just get out there and do the work, which, some people are okay with. And they're like, yeah, okay, I get it. And other people, I think, are still learning that lesson. Sometimes you just got to get out there and do what you got to do with things, which is absolutely amazing. I'd love to hear, like, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've seen with people that are disorganized? Because obviously, this podcast is geared towards business owners, but we all have this normal life, and I think having that affects not only our normal life but our business life as well. So, what's one of the big things that you see as a common thread that creates disorganization, and maybe one or two tips on how we can start working to solve that?
Okay, so in general, all right, I will explain CD for a moment. Chronic disorganization is different from situational. So it could
Okay.
be in someone's life or in someone's business. If there's a life transition, that can knock somebody's systems out of whack, and then you just have to take the time and settle back into place. Chronic disorganization is more pervasive in that someone has been living as a disorganized individual for a very long time, and the disorganization negatively impacts the quality of their daily lives. Um, as far as how to combat it or the challenges, if someone is, like you've said, willing to do the work and they're open to change and examining what's going on inside your heart and head, as well as what's going on the outside, because the head and the heart are what will manifest what's going on in someone's
Hmm.
environment, whether it's in business or in personal life. Um, but having an open mind and the readiness and the willingness to change and do the work, I think, are some of the keys to success.
Mm. Do you find that people that have chronic disorganization, do they know it or are they oblivious to that?
Well, some people do and some people don't. In the hoarding realm, we talk about insight Some people just have very low insight, and some people are totally aware of what they're doing, but they have a compulsion. And hoarding is not OCD, um, obsessive compulsive disorder for anyone who's not familiar with
Hmm.
OCD. So some people do know, and some people just have absolutely no clue. They feel like, okay, this is who I am, love me or leave me, which is
Hmm.
true.
Yeah, yeah. And so once if someone's feeling a lack of organization, or maybe their life is a bit kind of all over the place with stuff, is that a sign that they have chronic disorganization? Or as you said, maybe they've just gone through something and life's a little bit in upheaval at the moment and it just kind of settles over time.
It can depend on the individual. If someone is always all over the place and totally scattered and all of that, excuse me, that could be indicative of chronic disorganization if it's
Mhm.
negatively impacting their daily lives. If it's working for them, great. There are a ton of creative people out there who might appear to be disorganized, but they
Yeah.
are super, well, many people with chronic disorganization are just incredibly smart anyway, and they're super productive in their business lives and their personal lives and whatever it is, it's working great for them. But if someone is sitting in that, we'll call it brain fog, or just
Mm.
continual motion and leaving a wake of stuff in there behind them, um, then it's not working positively to their advantage, then there could be some CD there.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Well, over the next couple years, like what are your goals with the business? What are you wanting to achieve?
Oh, I intend to 10x.
Okay.
Uh,
Amazing.
Thank you. So, I personally have lots of plans in the works for how to grow this business. And yes, it's been 22 years, but there's an ad infinitum ahead of me. I may or may not sell it. Um, and I see that there are a lot of books behind you. I have very many of the same books, the
Yeah.
10X rule, and one of my favorites, 10X is easier than 2X. Um,
Hmm.
but I also want to be able to, well, impact more people, however that looks, whether through my book, my course, future books I may write, podcasts I may do.
Yeah.
The whole idea is to let people out there know if they are suffering that there is help available.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I love that you've got some great big goals on that by 10xing and some great books you mentioned there as well, which I highly recommend people read if they haven't already. But they're, yeah, really, really good. Well, Gail, for people that are wanting to know a little bit more about what you do and how to get in touch, what's the best way to do that?
The best way is to visit the website of Let's Get Organized, which is lgorganized.com.
Okay, amazing. Very simple for people to go to, which is great. So make sure and go visit Gail, absolutely. And Gail, thank you so much for being on the show. Some great insights on just organization, the whole chronic disorganization, what, how people might feel, and some tips around that, which is absolutely fantastic. So again, thank you for being on the show. And as a reminder for everyone, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods everybody hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn on LinkedIn, and that will be in the show notes below.